In IGN's recent interview with Todd Howard, he spent some of the time talking about both Starfield and The Elder Scrolls 6. The bulk of the time was dedicated to Starfield, but Todd did give us a few tidbits of information related to The Elder Scrolls 6, along with essentially confirming a release after 2021. In this video, we will examine his comments and see if there is anything else we can glean from them.
As I said, and you kind of were starting to, I could see you doing the math in your head to see if fact check me, but it seems like we're probably going to go a decade between major Elder Scrolls releases, between 5 and 6.
I think everyone should be very patient.
And that's like, what are the sort of pros and cons of letting that series sit dormant for that long? Because there are good and bad things, I'm sure.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, Elder Scrolls Online is hugely, hugely popular. And the team doing that at ZeniMax Online is fabulous. So it's not that we're not feeding high-quality Elder Scrolls to people.
No, but
I know.
You know yourself
Yeah,
that
I know,
a lot of your fans don't want to play with other people in the Elder Scrolls world. They want to just go off in their own.
Not just that. I think they want a certain type of experience that is very... it's what we've done. Where the world and the things around you can pick up this water bottle, you can do X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
Things that we love. The gap in between is obviously going to be long. It already is. And on one hand, I think it's good to miss things. You know what I mean? I think that makes people come to it with really, really fresh eyes. And I think when they eventually see the game and what we have in mind, they'll understand the gap more in terms of technology and what we want it to do. The one thing it does is people are still playing Skyrim. It's still one of the best-selling games. I know people joke about it online, but it's one of the best-selling games on Switch. Anything we put it out on, it becomes a hit game.
Right.
And they love it. They still play it. It's almost infinitely playable, all of the mods and everything like that. So what that does, and we're 8 years post Skyrim.
Yeah.
It lets us know going into Elder Scrolls 6, this is a game we need to design and people will play for a decade at least.
That's really the extent that Todd Howard discussed The Elder Scrolls 6. On the surface, it doesn't really seem like a lot, but there are a few things that stuck out to me. First, he basically confirmed that we aren't seeing The Elder Scrolls 6 before 2021. The constant reference to a decade between games essentially established that the game cannot be completed by then. This isn't a surprise, but we can make some assumptions on a few things we now know to determine a realistic release timeframe. So we know, or we think we know, anyway, that Starfield is likely to release by the end of 2020. In another part of the interview, Todd mentioned that Starfield has been in an active state of development for 3.5 years. Again, assuming a release date of October or November 2020, that will put active Starfield development time at around 5 years. As Starfield releases, I think we can assume a large team will still be dedicated to it to manage any bug fixes, but also for any new DLC. We know that there will likely be around 3 very large DLC add-ons released over probably about a year's time, putting Starfield's active development through the end of 2021. After the main game ships, though, I think that most of Bethesda Game Studios' teams will move over to the Elder Scrolls 6 for full active development. Knowing that the game is going to be at least as ambitious as Starfield, if not more, I think 5 years of development time is not out of the picture by any means. On the short end, it could be 4 years, and on the longer end, it could be 6 years. But knowing how long Starfield has taken, and just how long games take to make in general, a 5-year development cycle seems realistic. What does that mean for us, though? Well, The Elder Scrolls 6 could be releasing in the fall of 2025, putting it over the midway point of the next generation of consoles. Before you say that seems too long, the second part of Todd's comments referred to making a game that people will be playing for at least 10 years, as they did with Skyrim. That means to me that The Elder Scrolls 6 will be incredibly ambitious, and if we are talking about realistic development timelines, then 4 years is really, really aggressive. In fact, knowing that Todd Howard's vision is another Elder Scrolls game that you could be playing well into the 2030s, a 6-year development timeline isn't that unrealistic, if not even more likely. What really makes Bethesda games last that long, though? Why are people really still playing Skyrim 8 years later? Mods. Most of the reason is mod support, with some players like myself just returning to the game to play as a different type of character. The worlds Bethesda builds are so densely packed with quests, location, and things to do and discover that you can play the game for hundreds of hours and still find new meaningful content. But our expectations for the Elder Scrolls 6 will be so grand, and now after Todd Howard's comments about creating a game that we will want to play for 10 years, that Bethesda knows that they have to deliver something spectacular. And that is just the base game. Bethesda also needs to make it a game that can be easily modded as Skyrim and Fallout 4 are. That is built into the development process, but if the technology is sufficiently more advanced in whatever the engine that they are using is going to be, then that could be additional development time for Bethesda. We know based on Todd Howard's previous comments at the Elder Scrolls 25th Anniversary panel that it is still likely a version of the creation engine, heavily modified but still recognizable to modders who will be able to, theoretically, jump right in. And assuming Starfield is a cross-generation game and also has modding, and it is a BGS game so there's no reason to think there won't be, a lot of that advanced tool building may already be completed by that time. There's also the hope that learning the new consoles developing Starfield for them will shorten the development time, at least a little, for the Elder Scrolls 6. In fact, the main reason Skyrim Special Edition was released is because Bethesda spent time porting Skyrim to the new consoles as a way of learning them in preparation for Fallout 4. If Bethesda is developing Starfield for both generations of consoles, or just the new generation, then this will, in theory, help the learning curve for the Elder Scrolls 6 and maybe shave off a considerable amount of development time that would have otherwise been spent learning the ins and outs of the new hardware. Overall, as I said before, I think we're in for another 6 years of waiting before we see the Elder Scrolls 6. Disappointing as that may be, we do have Starfield to look forward to, and hopefully it releases next year. Even if it isn't the Elder Scrolls 6, it will give us a very good idea about what kind of game Bethesda is making the Elder Scrolls 6 out to be, as Todd Howard said that essentially version 1 of their new technology is being deployed in Starfield, with version 2 being used for the Elder Scrolls 6. So we have something to look forward to either way, and I am just as excited for Starfield as I am the next Elder Scrolls game, to be honest. Anyway, that about covers it for the Elder Scrolls 6 portion of this interview. Not a ton of things to discuss, but the timeline for release seems even more concrete, and Todd Howard's comments about building a game that we will play for 10 plus years means a huge world and mod support very early on, not to mention whatever DLC we will eventually be getting as well. So, what are your thoughts? Are you excited about still playing the Elder Scrolls 6 in the year 2035? Let's discuss in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to like and subscribe. Maybe click that bell icon. And as always, thank you so much for watching.